Bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Welcome to Reforma Virtual Spanish Language Book Bus Winter Series. My name is Libby Romero, and I'm the World Languages Coordinator at BookOps, the technical services organization that serves the Brooklyn Public Library and the New York Public Library. I'm a former president of the Reforma Northeast chapter, and I serve on the Reforma Board of Directors as the newsletter coordinator. This free event is open to librarians, educators, students, and professionals interested in serving Latino and Spanish-speaking communities. In this session of the series, we have Little Libros, Cinco Books, Latin American Bookstores, Vista Higher Learning, and LIELO Books, who will be featuring their new children and young adult Spanish language titles. But first, I am delighted to introduce my colleagues, Patricia Valdovinos and Manny Figueroa, who will interview our special guest, author Isabel Quintero. Patricia Valdovinos is a librarian in multilingual collections at the Los Angeles Public Library. She's also the current president of the LA chapter of Reforma. Manny Figueroa is the talent development and training manager for the Queens Public Library. He's also the chapter representative for the East Region and the treasurer for Reforma Northeast chapter. And now I invite Patty and Manny to continue with the program. Welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Isabel. We're very happy to have you. Patty and I will be asking you questions about your career and your works. But before that, let's let everyone know who you are. So, and I'm sure you all already know, Isabel Quintero is an award-winning author and the daughter of Mexican immigrants. Her debut novel, Gabby, A Girl in Pieces, received the Morris Award for Debut YA. In September of 2020, this book was translated into Spanish, titled as Gabby, Fragmentos de una Adolescente. Her other books for young people include Ugly Cat and Pablo, Ugly Cat and Pablo and the Missing Brother, and Photographic, The Life of Graciela Iturbide. Her most recent book, My Papi Has a Motorcycle, received the Tomas Rivera Award and the Pura Belpre Honor. Isabel lives and writes in the Inland Empire of Southern California.
Yay! Thank you for being here, Isabel. So you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I haven't seen Isabel live in a while, so I'm really excited to be. I don't think I have interviewed Isabel. Isabel and I grew up in the Inland Empire, so we have that connection, and I always get really excited to be able to talk to her. All right, so let's get started. First, thank you for being here. We are honored that you're with us, as Manny said and everyone else said. So our first question is, whenever there's a mention of Southern California, most people think of major cities such as Los Angeles, San Diego, Palm Springs, all those wonderful cities. But you're very proud of not only growing up in the Inland Empire, but also living there now. And we see this in your work. So why is this so important for you to mention so profoundly?
Why not? I guess is the response to that. I think, you're from the area. And so, we have a terrible reputation. Like, people are always talking about how badly it is, how bad our area is and that there's nothing here. We're referred to as mole people. And that there's no art, there's no culture, there's no literature, blah, blah, blah. And that's not true. I mean, like any place, there is good and there is not good, right? We do have we have a lot of warehouses here. So like, other cities in the country, we have been inundated with the logistics industry. And so that's been really terrible for our environment. For the air quality is terrible around here. But also, this is my home. This is where I grew up. And I think that it is important to tell stories of all places, right? Like, I love California. And I love my home, like the good and the bad, right? Like, we have deserts, we have mountains. If I show you, you'll see how dirty my window is outside my apartment. But like, I'm looking right out and it's like all the hills where I like to go hiking. right? And if I had a window on the other side, I could see snow in the mountains. I could see, the San Bernardino Mountains. And so it's just beautiful. And if I drive a little bit east, I'm in the desert, right? And if I drive a little bit west, I'm at the beach. And so we're in this valley that is beautiful, and it's like a lot of places. There is just so much richness here that I think that we don't explore enough. And I think we, you know, I was watching Gentefied, which is a great show. I love. However, like episode 2, I think it was like episode 1 or 2, immediately they're talking smack on the Inland Empire, like immediately. And I was really annoyed by that. I was really annoyed because I feel like LA is great. I'm not going to say LA is not great. LA is great. There's so much wonderful things in LA. But LA also has like Skid Row and also has all of these problems that need to be fixed. And I think a lot of times people just focus on how wonderful LA is, and they ignore everything else around. It's like no other people exist, other cities exist besides LA, besides San Diego, besides San Francisco, right? And so I just want to write about those things. And I always say, where people live, where people love, where people work, where people die, there's stories to be told. And I really am interested in telling stories that take place here.
Yeah. Your book was the first book I think I read as an adult that mentioned Corona, Riverside, the Inland Empire. And the meaning behind that as an adult was so empowering, because we get labeled as such a bad area, right? Like we have bad quality air. So I really appreciate that. And I think we need more talk about the Inland Empire. So that was the meaning behind the question that I.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, and there's people doing a lot of stuff, especially in Riverside. There's like arts everywhere. So people are creating, and there's art everywhere here. We just don't celebrate it as much as other places.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not being from California, I just want to say thank you, because it does give us a little picture, and it paints what it's like, and that makes a huge difference. It's wonderful to just get engulfed in that. So our next question, as we mentioned before, Gabby, A Girl in Pieces was your debut novel. And in previous interviews, you mentioned that this book has parts of your own story. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about those stories, and what about them made you include them?
Yeah, so I always like to preface what this response with, it is not a memoir, right? So it's not nonfiction, but it is, right? A lot is based on things that may have happened to me as a young person, right? So I did grow up with a father who's an addict, he's recovering now. I did, grow up with a mom who had very strict ideas on what it meant to be a woman. Although now, after, I just turned 39. And so we've had a lot of conversations, also a lot of therapy. I've had a lot of therapy, so, but, a lot of conversations that we've been able to have to discuss, certain things. And so I have a much better relationship with my mom. I've always had a close relationship with my mom, but it's sometimes it's been a little bit tenuous, right? But so that, and also, a light skinned Chicana fat girl. I mean, that's who I am. And I wanted to write this book because, the older I got, I don't know how many folks have grown up with a parent who is an alcoholic or an addict. But when you're growing up like that, that is usually a secret. Like, you don't talk to people about it. It's not something you tell even your friends, right? It's something you want to keep hidden, or you joke about, a mi tío le gusta tomar, but it's like every day, a mi tío le gusta tomar, like that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to write a book where those things were explored, because the older I got, the more I learned that I wasn't alone in those feelings as a young person. I wasn't alone in those experiences as a young person. Gabby being aware of her sexuality. Also, as a young person, it was something that I was aware of, but was made to feel that I shouldn't be aware of because, you know, that's bad. That's bad. You don't, eso es de muchachas, fáciles, ¿verdad? Like that's not for good girls. Good girls don't think like that. And so there's something wrong with you if you think that way. But then as I got older, I was like, no, we were all like the majority of us had these thoughts and feelings because we were getting older and we were teens and we were humans. And so I wanted to explore that also. And I wanted to write something for young women, like in the dedication, right? For those of us who just are in this middle space, right? I'd been reading a lot of YA, and at that time, a lot of YA was like the teens getting addicted to drugs, right? Like the teens getting into trouble, but not really about what it was like to be the child of an addict. And at the time that I wrote the book, I was going through a bit of a crisis. Like my marriage was starting to fall apart. I like failed miserably as a high school English teacher. And I was like, what's happening? Like, what is my life? And, you know, I started thinking about how did I get here, right? Like, who am I? And so, yeah, that's how Gabby came. And, you know, she's much braver than I was in high school. Like I was super shy around boys. Like I was not like Gabby at all. Like maybe as I got older that changed, but as a teenager, if a boy tried to talk to me, I couldn't do it. So, so it was, but yeah, that's why I included them, because I think there's a lot of young women like Gabby, and I still get emails and DMs, you know, from people saying like, that's my life. That's my parents. That's my tia. That's my brother, you know? And so I feel it's important to recognize those stories. Yeah, in our work.
That's incredible. I think you're right. I think touching upon like having that alcoholic family member, it's like a taboo topic. No one talks about it, even though you know it exists, and it does more damage than good. So thank you for that.
No, thank you.
I'm right. Number 3. I always lose track of questions, y'all. If you've seen me, I'm always like, what question are we on? Okay, so for folks that have not read this novel, which you all should, it's English and in Spanish now. What does Gabby, A Girl in Pieces, stand for? What are those pieces?
I think it's just the different fragments, right? Like she's just trying to figure out who she is, because she's at that age where she's trying to figure it out. So she is in pieces. Like she's a poet. She's the daughter of an addict. She's trying to figure out what it means to be a woman. She's trying to figure out what it means to be a good friend, because there are some moments there where she crosses boundaries where she's not being the best friend she could possibly be, right? What it means to be a sister, all of these things she's kind of trying to put them together. So yeah.
The intersectionality of being a young woman.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and how to get those pieces together, how to bring them together and sort of discover who you are. Great. So in this novel, and you did talk about this a little bit, but in this novel, you touch upon different topics, among them about sex and gender roles. For a lot of young women, especially in the Latinx culture, this is not something that is talked about. No se habla de eso, ¿verdad? About until you're actually, you know, front and center involved with it. And some people think that might be a little bit too late. Why was Gabi's confusion around sex so important for you to include in this coming of age novel?
Well, for those reasons that you just stated, right? I think, you know, like sex is a normal human, like, function, right? Like we wouldn't be here if people weren't having sex like that. Like that's right. And it's obviously not just for procreation, but you know, I think there's so much silence around so many things, and especially sexuality, that there is like, I remember my mom was very, you know, Gabby's mom, that line at the beginning, ojos abiertos, piernas cerradas, that's like a direct quote from my mom. Right, direct quote from my mom. And she, like, that was my sex talk. It's bad. Like that was it. So when I moved in with my ex-husband was when she started joking about sex. Like I was allowed in those conversations, right? But by then it was like really weird and awkward and uncomfortable because like my whole life you told me it's bad, and now all of a sudden you're making jokes. And so I think, it's important to talk to young people about these things because, like practical reasons like STDs and pregnancies, right? But also for like not having shame around who you are. I think that we often in the Latinx community, like whether it's because a lot of us, were colonized with Catholicism, we just have that shame like built into us, like from a very young age, right? Like we need to be ashamed of our bodies. We need to be ashamed of what our bodies do. We need to be ashamed of how our bodies feel. And I wanted young girls reading it to not feel that shame, to realize like they were not alone in feeling these things, because it's a very normal, very human thing. And yeah, like it upsets me. It really upsets me when we put shame, because like I've worked so hard to move out of that shame that I grew up with, right? And it has taken therapy and it has taken a lot of growth. But I would hate for young women to still have to go through that, right? There's no reason why you need to be ashamed of, I remember I was visiting a school in Colorado, and there was high schools, and one of the girls was coming into class and she was very upset because she had just gotten in trouble because she had gotten a demerit, because at this school they gave demerit. She had gotten a demerit because her shirt was too revealing, right? Well, if I had been wearing that shirt, it would not have been revealing, but she had really large breasts. Like she can't help it, right? But in this moment, like she's being shamed because her body, something she can't control, now she has to feel shame for, right? So I feel like that's why I wrote that in there, because I want us not to feel shame anymore.
No, and I'm glad you did, because it really is important for young people to read these things and to know that they're not alone, that there's, this is very normal.
Yeah.
I thank you for that.
And I also want to add that it's also important for adults to realize, because I think we forget that we were young once and that our minds think about sex. And I think it's so shameful, right? You just start all like, it becomes taboo the older you get, and you're like, but you were young once and you can't, like, you thought about sex, and it's shameful for us to think that girl, like, it's not shameful, but it annoys me when adults don't remember that it's yes.
Yeah, I know I've had conversations with my friends who have teenagers now, right? And they'll say something will happen with their teens, whether it be they caught their kid smoking weed, or they caught, their kid, they were having sex. And I'm like, do you remember when we were in high school? I don't want to think about that. Like that was different. No, it's not different. It's not different at all. Like those things that we felt at that age, your children feel at that age. The setting may be different, the technology may be different, but those feelings are there,
So I think this book is just as important for young people and adults to read. That's the point. How much time do we have? Sorry, I have like 2 alarms and I'm like, well, we're okay. Okay. So
Manny, you were muted.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that we can I think we're at 120. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So last question or not last question? Sorry. Well, I'm all confused.
I would say yes, but
we have 3 more minutes actually.
Okay.
Oh, we do? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question, and then because it's your most recent book. So you're not only a young adult author, you also write children's books. Your latest book, Mi Papi Tiene una moto, or My Papi Has a Motorcycle, is based on growing up in Corona, California. What inspired you to write it and share the beauty of Corona with the world?
Well, that book is based on a memory of when I was a little girl, and my dad would get home from work and put me on the back of his motorcycle and we'd ride around. And, you know, I always tell people the dad in my Papi Has a Motorcycle and the dad in Gabby Girl in Pieces are the same dad. Like they're the same dad, right? And so people are complicated, right? People are very complicated. And so it's so yeah, but this is a very happy memory that I have as growing up as a kid and driving around the back of a motorcycle with my dad. And again, it's set in Corona because that's where I grew up, and I thought it was important to celebrate that, right? Why not open up a book and see the city you grew up in? And actually that book got me knocked up because that's how my partner opened it up, and that's how we met. We met at a comic book festival very far, like up in Northern California, and we're from the same city. We lived like 3 minutes away, and we didn't know this. And so, yeah, like the you know, people respond to books that they can relate to, right? Like, oh, I know this place. You know, Marco Shiro, who wrote Anger is a Gift, saw the Cleveland National Forest at the Coquila launch for that book, and he was like, I know where that is. I saw that growing up every day out of my window, right? And so, yeah, it's really important, I think, to write where we're from. All my books, the trilogy I just sold to Coquila, which is a paranormal trilogy, which is very different from the other things I write. It's a middle grade. It also takes place in the Inland Empire. It's, you know, ghost hunting story. And yeah, I think for the most part, I'll be writing about this area until I want to write about somewhere else.
That's beautiful. Yes, I grew up going to Corona. My grandparents there's a freeway there now, but they used to work in the dairy farm in Corona. And so that's their immigration story. But yeah, I loved it. I cried just visualizing and remembering as a kid. So Manny, do you want to ask the last question? I think she touched it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, we're running out of time now.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
okay. Thank you so much, Isabel, for joining us and sharing all your experiences. And thank you, Patty and Manny, for this wonderful interview. We are very, very thankful. And also we are always thankful because all your support to Reforma, Isabel. Thank you.
No, thank you all for all y'all's support for my work. I really appreciate it, and all the work that you do. You know, I hope you guys who are in Texas are keeping safe and thinking about all of you and keeping warm. So
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we will start with the book presentations. Our first presenter is Cynthia Gonzalez from Little Libros. For more information about this company and contact information, please visit reforma.org/bookbuzz and remember to use our hashtag ReformaBookBuzz. Feel free to add your questions to the comment box during the presentation and they will be answered at the end. As a reminder, these presentations are being recorded for future viewing. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you. Good morning. Buenos días a todos. Let's see. I want to first start off by saying thank you so much to Reforma and the entire team for providing these spaces that are much needed during this pandemic. So you're keeping us together. So thank you so much for that, Libby and everyone else. Let's see. I'm going to give me a second here. And please let me know if you can see the screen. Not sure.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. So then here is, as it was mentioned, excuse me, I am Cynthia Gonzalez and I handle operations for Little Libros. And before I go into sharing the books, the amazing books that we have releasing this year, I'd like to just introduce a little bit of who Little Libros is. Excuse me. and a little bit of our story. And it's for those that are not familiar with Little Libros. So we're a bilingual sheet publishing house for in the LA County and based out of Los Angeles, California. And we were established in 2014 by two mothers who at the time were looking for bilingual books for their children, and they couldn't find any. So at that time, Patty Rodriguez and Ariana Stein, they partnered up because they couldn't find any books. And they said, you know, it doesn't look like there are any bilingual books that are relevant, cultural relevant. And one, and two, that we can continue sharing the tradition of our cultural icons and history onto our children. So at that moment, they decided to start their own publishing house, and it's Little Libros. So we've been established since 2014, and our mission is to encourage little ones to read in two languages at the earliest of age with books that celebrate inclusivity, culture, and authenticity. Since 2014, Little Libros, we've published 28 books with 11 new titles coming this year. And to be honest, this is going to be a big year for us because this is the first year where we release more than 5-6 books a year. So this is a great year for us. Our books are, as I mentioned before, they're inclusive. There's picture books as well. They focus on different concepts such as biographies, first words, travel, storytelling, and more. You know, at Little Libros, we know the importance of dual language programs, and we work with different principals and teachers and nonprofits because we know that dual language programs are important and they can close the bridge between English learners and native English speakers. So we make our mission another goal to make sure that we're working with different nonprofits, principals, teachers, librarians. And here's a quote right here that really that we respect and we believe in so closely, where it says, if we can make children feel more whole and more ready and more accepted and welcome and validate their prior knowledge and prior learning experiences, then we've gone a long way to making them ready to learn over the course of a lifetime. And this is something very important and one we keep in mind, as I was mentioning, as we continue working with these nonprofits and schools, like, for example, California WIC, also the Y, United Way, LA County Library, and so forth. We know that these books where children can find themselves represented spark a love for reading and imagination in two languages. So here we have some of the kids that have used and use our books constantly with their parents and at schools, feeling represented. And of course, this motivates them, right? I am a product of that bilingual program back in the 80s, like I'm sure many of us are as well. And we know that during these past years, it's been very hard to find books that are inclusive and that children can feel themselves represented. So here are some of those images right now, as you can see. And one of the things that we all experienced as well that I want to mention last year was a pivotal moment, right, in history where we saw more organizations and schools and a lot of more DLI programs that were looking for inclusive books. So that's just another point to just point out to everyone about our books. So now we'll get started on all the amazing books that we have coming out this year. And the first two, these are board books for the ages of 0 to 5. And we have the biography on the amazing and iconic woman that is the life of La Vida de Dolores. We also have Loteria, which not sure if many know, we do have our first Loteria book that we started with. That was one of the foundation of the books that we started with Little Libros and releasing Loteria. And this one is going to focus on more first words, más palabras, primeras palabras, and it's also for the age group of 0 to 4. Now, what's great about the biographies that we have, the line of the Life of series, is that many children can sit down and read about the historical figures in our Latin American communities, and also American or Mexican American and so forth, iconic figures. So here's inside of the page of Dolores Huerta. This one is the inside of the book of Loteria, which is Loteria Más Palabras. And again, I was mentioning our first authors, right, which are the founders are Patty Rodriguez and Ariana Stein. The book of Dolores and Loteria is illustrated by Citrali Reyes. Last year, we also announced that we release a new series titled Vamonos. And what Vamonos is that it's an amazing series that highlights so many different Latin American cities. We started last year with Havana, San Salvador, along with San Juan, Lima, and Oaxaca as the first 5 books that we launched this series with. And this year, we have 3 more amazing books releasing this spring. These are all board books as well. Authors are Patty Rodriguez, Ariana Stein, illustrated by one of our new illustrators, Ana Godinez, who is based out of Downey, California. And the 3 titles are Antigua, Bogota, and Panama City. The age group is 2 to 5 of all of the books in this series. And the first image of the inside of the book is Antigua, and it's so beautiful. Like, I love this series so much because of the colors and the poetic feel when it comes to the books. It's very distinctive from the other books that Little Libros has been publishing. This one here is an inside page of Bogota. This one is Panama City. And something very amazing and beautiful about this series is that there's a bonus part, which is the glossary. At the end of each book, you can see a full glossary where children and teachers or parents can use it with their little ones and sit down and teach them a little bit more and use it as a tool to educate them about other cultures, otras comidas, landmarks, and so forth. So these are all releasing in this spring and the next couple of months. Another amazing thing that we did in the past year or so, we announced that, listen, we know the story of how hard it is to get published. That's another of the reasons why Patty and Ariana decided to start Little Libros, and it's because they were rejected over a dozen times when they wanted to get published by the big publishers. And we decided to announce to community and say, listen, please share your stories, submit your ideas for the opportunity to publish your work with Little Libros. Now, last year, we announced the first author that we published outside of Patty and Ariana is Eric Ramos. He is the author of the picture book, Super Torta, which caters to the age group of 4 to 8. And this year, we are adding 3 new authors, 3 new illustrators, and they're all picture books for the age group of 4 to 8 as well. So this book here, starting forward now, these are all books releasing in the fall. And this book is Carlota Shares Her Secret. Carlota cuenta su secreto. Such an amazing, fun, cute book. And a bit of the summary of the story is that it's a precocious young girl learns how quickly a story can spread and change when her playful secret is told and then retold throughout her hometown. And basically the story is the game of telephone. So it's a very fun, imaginative, and it involves the entire family. And we can't wait to share this book with everyone. The author is Maria Rosana Mestre, and she's from Venezuela. She's a translator and has also taught Spanish as a foreign language. The illustrator is Ana C. Sparza, born in Sinaloa, Mexico, and a full-time illustrator and occasional teacher. Again, this is a picture book, age group of 4 to 8, and this releases in fall. The next picture book that we have is Jefferson, actually. En realidad es Jefferson. And Jefferson is one of those stories that it just touches you. And I feel like a lot of them, a lot of people and children will be able to connect to this story because of the beauty of cómo nos llamamos, cómo nos ponen los nombres, right? Sometimes it's Jefferson, or it could be Jefferson, or it could be Jessica or Jessica, right? So that's the beauty of our names. And the summary of this book is, on his first day as the new kid in school, Shy Jefferson's name is consistently mispronounced to his discomfort and embarrassment. With his family's support, Jefferson finds the courage to stand up for himself and his namesake. The authors are Scott Martin Rowe, who is a national board certified teacher librarian in LAUSD, along with second author, Catherine Trejo, who is first generation Salvadorian American college grad with a bachelor's degree in politics and Latin American studies. Illustrated by Carla Monterrosa, who was born and raised in El Salvador. She's an illustrator and animator. Once again, this is a picture book, ages 4 to 8. Our third picture book releasing in fall is Kit del Toro. Now, Kit del Toro and Kit del Toro, Niño del Toro, it's another imaginative book, very amazing, very cute. And it's also about empowering, right? Just like Jefferson empowering children. The summary of the book is inspired by the childhood of Guillermo del Toro, the eccentric and award-winning filmmaker. A young boy learns to love and accept the fantastical monsters he was taught to fear. The author is Shogrin, is an artist and storyteller from Guayaquil, Ecuador. His work is inspired by his never-ending childhood and pop culture. Illustrated by Pacoto, who is born in Albacete, Spain, who is an illustrator working in the world of animation. And that's it for our picture books. And now also in the fall, we are releasing the series of La Catrina. Now, many of you may be aware and know that we released a Catrina book a couple years back with the concept of emotions. We received so much praise on that book that a lot of teachers were using it in their classrooms to teach little ones how to express their emotions. Now, we've released and expanded the entire book into focusing the series on colors, numbers, and vowels. These are all board books, ages 0 to 4. Authors are Patty Rodriguez and Ariana Stein, illustrated by Citrali Reyes. The next couple of books that we are also releasing are part of the Life series, and these are The Life of, La Vida de Evelyn, The Life of Basquiat, La Vida de Basquiat. Authors are Patty Rodriguez and Ariana Stein, illustrated by Citrali Reyes. These are board books, ages 0 to 5. Now, a little bit on each of these historical iconic figures. The first book, Evelyn. Evelyn is the first Mexican-American ballerina in the United States. She takes center stage in her iconic tutu and satin ballet slippers. Despite growing up shy, this ballerina managed to overcome her anxiety and fall in love with the beautiful art of ballet. So that's a little bit of who Evelyn is. And I think it's just amazing that little ones will learn the beauty of her story. Now on, John Michel Basquiat, the summary of the book is known for his contributions to graffiti and neo-expressionism. Basquiat became one of the youngest household names in the world of art. The Haitian Puerto Rican prodigy used his obsessive scribbling and skull designs to paint his legacy through New York and worldwide. Now, the story with Basquiat is also much like Evelyn's mother. They were both encouraged to follow their dreams and also to play around with art. So I think it'll be amazing to have little ones read about these iconic figures, feel empowered, and know that imagination, the love of your art can take you much more than where you're at. The last two books that we're releasing is Santo Domingo and Tegucigalpa. These are also part of the Vamonos series, ages 2 to 5. Authors are Patty Rodriguez and Ariana Stein, along with the illustrator Ana Godinez. And everyone, this is, you know, our entire catalog, which we have been listening to our educators and principals and asking us for more picture books so we can continue educating the next age group of amazing minds and our future leaders. So thank you so much for being a part of this, for listening. Thank you, Reforma, for this opportunity. And if there are any questions, I am happy to answer. Please know that.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, there is one question actually.
Sure,
in the
sure.
chat room. They say the glossary also in Spanish?
The glossaries are, they're a combination. So it'll talk about the landmark in Spanish, and then it's in English format.
So there doesn't seem to be another question. Thank you so much for this presentation. It was very wonderful.
Thank you.
I'll leave it to Manny now. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Our second presenter is Jenny Lizárraga from Cinco Books. Cinco Books is a corporate member of Reforma. For more information about this company and contact information, please visit reforma. Oh, I'm sorry, you're still on here. I'm being rude. Oh, I have it on speaker view. I am so sorry. Great. So as I was saying, Cinco Books is a corporate member of Reforma. For more information about this company, you can contact, you can go to reforma.org/bookbuzz. And remember to use our hashtag, ReformaBookBuzz. Feel free to add your questions to the comment box during the presentation, and they will be answered at the end. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you, Manny, and thank you, Libby, and thank you, Reforma, for organizing the Book Buzz Winter Series. Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm so happy. I am Jenny Lizárraga, like he said, and I am the director and founder of Cinco Books. We are a book distribution company. We are located in Miami, Florida, and we are specialized in culturally relevant books in Spanish language, bilingual editions as well. And we work with public libraries, with school districts across the country. We help them with the curriculum and also with the public libraries with the collection development for the Spanish language books. And when I started this company more than 10 years ago, I remember that the mission was, and still is, opening space for those independent publishers in Latin America and Spain, and those authors looking to reach out to the Hispanics, Latinx living in the United States. We know today that we are more than 60 million Latinx living in this country. And we read and hear everywhere, every day, that representation matters. And that is where a company like Cinco Books comes into play. We want to be that bridge. We want to connect those publishers and authors in Latin America and the community here in the States. And who is better than the public library with their patrons and attending their communities and the schools. So for today, I made a special selection, a very special selection of books that we have in distribution. Most of them are new releases, awarded books. This is something that we care about a lot, that our books, the ones that we select and put in our selections, are awarded internationally and also here in this country. So let me start with some of them. I'm not gonna share my screen just yet because I want you to see the books because some of them are like a bigger size. So I'm going to start with a book from Chile. This selection that I have today is from several countries in Latin America and Spain. Somos Diversidad. It's a book published in Chile from the series Ciudadano Responsable. And what we love about this book is that it comes in chapters and talks about diversity in religion, diversity in culture, diversity in language, and how to be respectful of each. And from the same series, I have Yo Sustentable, to teach children, and this one would be for 8 years old and up, more to teach kids how to take care of the environment, how to use and reuse. And with the small acts, we can make big changes. This book also from Chile. One more from the same series, Climate Change. Nosotros y el cambio climático. A lot of information with easy concepts explained with an easy vocabulary and correct terminology about what is climate change. How can we help to reduce climate change? Can we reverse it? It's a way to create consciousness with children about it. In the same series, Yo Activista. This is a non-fiction book about how to become an activist, how to organize. We love about this series that is very diverse with the illustrations and also with the vocabulary. And I have two more from this series before I change the subject here. Yo Digital, also recommended for 8 years old and up. Information about how to use the internet and social media and what it means. You know, nowadays, children have access to the internet, cell phones, tablets, and all that. And that is not gonna change. It's here to stay. And it's better to teach them how to use it in a responsible way. And one more, Yo Exploro Mi Planeta. This is a journey about a boy who is traveling around the world and learning the different habitats, energies, and how to live in harmony with them. On the same subject, El Arquitecto y el Árbol. Now we're going to Spain. This is the first book of this author, Thibaut Rassat. He's from Paris. He's an architect. And it's a little bit biographical because it's the experience that he had when he needed to build something and a structure, and there was a tree on the territory. And then how he played around the design to keep the tree. So this is a book with a great message and a reflection on how to take care of the environment and how to live with their resources in a harmonical way. La Jaula. This book is awarded by Fundación Cuatro Gatos. It's also in the selection White Ravens. The White Raven selection, it's an award that is given every year to 200 books in any language in the world. So to be in that selection for any book is a great, great award. And in this story is a young boy who wants to have a hamster in a jaula. And the parents explained to him, you know, if you keep him captive, he's going to die. He's going to be sad because he's not born to be captive. And the boy insists and he wants to, you know, to have the hamster. Eventually he gets the hamster because the grandfather gave it to him, and the hamster dies, like the parents told him. So he has to learn the hard way how to respect the freedom of the animals. It's a book to talk about death, to talk about respect of the animals, and it's also published in Argentina. The publisher is Calibroscopio. Now I want to show you a couple of board books that I have, and I prefer not to share my screen for these few ones because I think it's better to show it. This is a series from Argentina about habitats. Música del mar. Vamos a la selva. Entramos en el bosque. All of them illustrated. Originally written in Spanish, none of these are translations. And now I'll show you a few with different size and shapes from Spain. This is Coco Books, and it's a board book with a sturdy complexion, so it's going to be durable. La Sabana, with the name of different animals. This book is for babies, for very young kids, with different reliefs. And on the same series, El Bosque. An awarded book that I have here with me from Chile, Sueños en el Jardín. This year, it was awarded by Fundación Cuatro Gatos. Every year, on the 28th of January, the Fundación Cuatro Gatos releases the list of awarded books that they select among more than 1,000 books that they receive every year to review. And this book from Chile, about the garden and the insects in the garden, is contained in that selection for this year. Then I have a series of books, also board books, and these ones are with a special font for children or readers with dyslexia. The font is called Open Dyslexic. This book is about the weather, and I'll show you what is different in the font is that it is thicker at the bottom. It's heavier at the bottom, so it helps children to read and to identify the letters in a better way. From the same series is Tengo Tengo, Mona Elisa, to learn to count, Como una mamá, a book for the relationship between the mom and their kids and her kids. And the last one from the series, Sana Sana. This is the classic lullaby, the Sana Sana, Colita de Rana, that most of you probably know already. All this information is going to be available on the Reforma website, and also you can reach out to us if you're interested for more. This is just a brief selection that I'm making. And then on the awarded books, I have Ata Bota. This book is also useful to teach children how to tie their shoes. And the good thing about this one is that the lace is not coming out, so they have to cut it to take it out. So it's a good trick. And the text is more like in rhyme, also for very young kids, from recommended, you know, from 2 years old to 5 years old, especially. And one more awarded, Poetry for the Youngest of the Family, Bien Viento. Primera Poesía. This book is published in Argentina by Ediciones Ojo Oreja. And my last one on this series, Dormir sin almohada. This is also poetry and it's intended to be read before going to bed. Now I am going to share my screen with you guys, show you the rest of my books. Here we are. So I have Connexiones. Connexiones is a book published in Argentina. It's about the dignity of every job. It's a father telling his son about his work, and the work that he does is in construction, you know. He's explaining to his kid how important it is to have a job and how important it is in his case for the construction. Everyone in the chain, it's important. So it's a way, you know, to give this dignity to any job. It doesn't have to be the architect or the engineer working to be a great job. He can be the guy working in the construction there, in anything, and it's still important. So that's why we consider this book important, and I wanted to add it in this selection. It's published by Calibroscopio in Argentina. The author, Walter Binder, is also one of the owners of this publishing house. And we are in February, so we are in Black History Month. And I wanted to add Cuentos Africanos para Dormir el Miedo. This book by Ernesto Rodriguez Abad is a collection of stories from North Africa. It's a compilation. The publisher, Diego Pun Ediciones, is in the Canary Islands in Tenerife, and it's highly recommended. They are doing a wonderful job. Now I have Soy Activista, similar to the one that I showed you before, but this one would be for kids between 10 and 12 years old. It has more text, it's more like a chapter book, and it teaches kids, children, and teens how to become advocates, how to fight for a cause, and how to get organized. Then on the chapter books series, I have Ocho Tentáculos para Celebrar un Cumpleaños. This is more like a horror story. Our protagonist will celebrate his birthday, but then he doesn't want to because he's a monster and everyone in his family is a monster, and he's ashamed of being a monster because he says that everyone is scared of them. It's like satirical chapter book, very fun, recommended from 10 years old and up. Published in Mexico by Ediciones Castillo. The author is Oscar Martinez. Now I have Sirena y Punto by Sergio Andricain. Sergio Andricain is one of the founders of Fundación Cuatro Gatos. He's a Cuban-American author, internationally awarded. Sirena y Punto is a book about identity and diversity. It's the story of this young boy that he wants to dress up as a mermaid, and the reaction that his family has about that. From the same publishing house in Mexico, El Naranjo, we have Aquí es un buen lugar. This book has been selected by Fundación Cuatro Gatos this year, is one of the finalists for the award. And it's a translation from the Portuguese. Ana Pessoa is from Portugal. And the book is more like a chapter book, but the format is like a journal. It's like if it was a journal written by a 17 or 16-year-old. And it's illustrated like in sketches and all the experiences and things that happened to her during that time of her life. Still in the awarded list, I have El Ascensor. El Ascensor is a book by Ediciones Limonero. Yael Frankel is an author and illustrator from Argentina. In the same section of awarded book, I have Esa Cuchara. Esa Cuchara is a book more about memories and those things that we keep, either memories or physical things. In this case, Esa Cuchara. Now, Muñeco de Barro, about the artist Emma Reyes, is a book published by Ediciones del Zorro Rojo in Spain. It's an illustration of one of the letters that Emma Reyes wrote many years ago when she was living in France to one of her friends. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, but it's recommended from 10 years old and up. I'm almost to the end. Vegetariano by Ediciones del Zorro Rojo. It's a book absolutely about being vegetarian or maybe not being vegetarian. So it's like a comedy, like a satirical way to explore and to reflect on to being a vegetarian. The author, Julian Baer, and published in Spain. La Jaula, we already talked about this one. And I want to end my collection today by Atlas Americano. Every page of this book is a different country with the traditions and cultural diversity of it. And that is my selection for today. Please follow us on social media. We are always doing activities. This 27th of February, we are having a book fair and Instagram, and also we are on Twitter, and we have a YouTube channel where we share storytelling in Spanish. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'm still here.
Thank you, Jenny. We don't have any questions on the chat room, but we have put your contact information if someone wants to contact you. And it's also, they're asking right now if it's the virtual book fair that you will have.
Yes, it's a virtual book fair and anyone can join. So, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Jenny. So thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. And we're going to continue with our third presenter, who is Kia Trejo from Latin American Book Source. Latin American Book Source is a corporate member. For more information about this company and contact information, please visit reforma.org/bookbuzz and remember to use our hashtag ReformaBookBuzz. Feel free to add your questions to the comment box during the presentation and they will be answered at the end. Welcome, Kia.
Thank you, Libby. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I am Kia from Latin American Book Source, and I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks to Reforma for inviting us and for organizing this wonderful event. Today, I'm going to present you our selection of new releases from late 2020 and 21. And I'm going to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Okay, we're going to start with picture books. The first title is Los Días en Casa, Days at Home. This beautiful book is about the current situation of the pandemic. It tells the story of different families and how the confinement has been in each home. It is a tender and optimistic look of the situation caused by coronavirus. This is a small preview of the book, of the inside book. The next one is also about the pandemic, and it is called La Burrita Alomera. And it's based on a true story of a man's reunion with his donkey, Baldomera, during the pandemic. This book is also available in English by the Spain publisher Nube Ocho. And this is a preview of the man with his donkey. Héctor con H de Héroe is a wonderful book. It tells the story of Hector, a great little hero who, thanks to the effort and unconditional love of his family, manages to overcome great obstacles. Hector's parents, authors of this book, have proved against all odds that Hector's disability will not prevent him from walking. And you can see in the picture, there's Hector's family, his parents, and his older brother, and the little one is Hector. Continuing with picture books, with this title in particular, many mothers will relate. It is called A veces mamá tiene tronos en la cabeza. Sometimes mom has thunder in her head. In this story, this little girl's mother has days and moments of all kinds, like all of us. Sometimes clouds appears in her head. Then she feels a bit overwhelmed. But there are also days when a big colorful rainbow appears. So she is happy and wants to do super fun things. And there are days when it is full of thunders. She speaks very loudly and nothing seems to be right. The little girl knows how to recognize two smooth meteorological states in her mother's head because she has them too. This story seems very interesting because the girl is the one who empathizes with the mother when it is generally in the opposite direction. And it's a little preview of the book. A mom with all the thunders and getting all angry. This book is perfect for show kids about emotions and how every one of us have them. Antonio Malpica is a Mexican writer who has published numerous novels for adults and books for children. In this picture book, Así de Simple, That's Simple, Sek is an alien who likes exploring the universe. And for him, life is very simple, very easy. One day, he comes to Earth and tries to make friends. But he realizes that humans are very difficult and that making friends is not as easy as he thought. They don't even speak the same language. Luckily, Sek is very determined. And even if it takes him several trips and a few hundred years, he'll manage to make friends on this strange planet with help from the right sounds, the sound of music. In this book, Antonio Malpica and illustrator Roger Icaza talks about friendship, music, and respect for diversity. Amor Animal, Una Loca Conquista, Animal Love, is an illustrated and reference book. You can find out what animals do when they are in love. They have strange behaviors that will blow your mind. This picture book is ideal for children ages 9 and up. It contains more text and images. The following titles are a selection from the publisher Artes de Mexico. As many of you know, Artes de Mexico explores the most exciting aspects of Mexican culture. The first title is El sueño de los dioses y otros cuentos huicholes, To Dream of the Gods and Other Wishful Tales. All these stories are set in a time when the world was new. Wishful shaman Jose Benitez Sanchez tells us these stories in his strings paintings, with Gabriela almost translates into words, so we can now take part in these adventures. There is a preview of the book. Also, we have El Sopilote y la Chirina, The Buzzer and the Flute. Where do people go when they die? The visual says that they go to a world where everything is backwards. Now that Concha's grandfather has died, he must have gone there, but he forgot to take his traditional flute, called a chirimia. Concha decides to take it to him and discovers that the dead don't have it so bad after all. There's a preview of the book. Huevos Rancheros. This fun book narrates Marcelina's the hen's escapades as she seeks to outsmart her enemies. To do so, our heroine makes use of all her natural charms and especially her cooking skills. De cómo nació la piñata, how the piñata was born. On these pages, you will discover the legendary origin of an important Mexican tradition, la piñata. Adivinanzas Mexicanas, Mexican riddles, are games that reveal the many twists and turns of language. This collection from Oapan Guerrero includes surprising definitions for mermaids, cornfields, eggs in English, Nahuatl, Spanish, and Catalan. Please note that these books are ideal for all ages. Your patrons will be pleased to be in touch with authentically Mexican books. As nonfiction new releases, we have the Spanish edition of super popular books. 100 mujeres que cambiaron el mundo, 1000 Immigrant Women Who Changed the World, is the latest installment in the New York Best Times Selling series, featuring 100 immigrant women who have shaped and will continue to shape our world. And there's a preview of the pop singer Rihanna. There is also the 2021 Latin American edition of the Guinness World Records. It's perfect for all family and all ages. In this board book collection from National Geographic Kids, children can listen by pressing a horn the sounds of animals of different species, wild, forest, and farm animals and pets. The photographs are excellent and the texts are full of humor. To activate the sound, you have to turn the switch on. This book works with batteries. In these titles, Explain to Me Why Dinosaurs Have Huge Teeth and Why Does My Heart Goes Boom Boom, children will find answers that explain things to them in a simple and accurate way. Through a comfortable and playful design, which includes flaps to reveal curious facts about the subject and attractive illustrations, children will be able to learn in a dynamic, didactic, and fun way. In this new collection by Anaya Infantil, Locos por los Deportes, allows children to discover different sports and find out which is the best for them. We have basketball and swimming. Continuing with fiction books, for 7 years old, we have La Niña Burrida, The Boring Girl, and it's written by the Mexican musician José Lo Rangel, founder and member of the Mexican rock band Café Tacuba. The book is about a girl tired of playing alone. She looked for company in her reflection in the mirror, but it wasn't fun either. When she was about to turn and leave, the girl in the reflection smiled at her, a book that reminds children of the importance of loving themselves. Also, we have La Historia de una niña y su monstruo. Sweep is the story of a girl and her monster. Together, these two outcasts carve out a new life, saving each other in the process. And it's lyrically told by one of today's most powerful storytellers, Jonathan Axier. Sweep is a heart-rending adventure about the everlasting gifts of friendships and wonder. These chapter books are ideal for children ages 9 and up. The first one is La Casa con Patas de Gallina, The House with Chicken Legs. It is an extraordinary retelling of the Baba Yaga myth with a mix of whimsy, humor, and adventure. This debut novel by Sophie Anderson will wrap itself around your heart and never let go. We also have Zombicienta, Zombirella, that is a Cinderella retelling written in verse by award-winning poet Joseph Coelho, but it's also extremely dark, funny, and witty. In graphic novels, Cristiano Ronaldo, superstar football player, stars in his first superhero comic book, Striker Force 7, based on the animated series in production. Led by Cristiano, a motley crew of superpowered agents from around the world must protect Earth from annihilation. Also, we have Cosas que nunca cambian, Things that never change. In this graphic novel, the mythology of the zombies meets the enduring tradition of the Day of the Dead, but not just any. Nora also has a problem. Someone beat her grandfather and turned him into a zombie. Both will undertake a strange trip to the cemetery, a world where the terror of the zombie apocalypse is a window to accept that love transcends life and death. And you can see here a preview of the Cristiano Ronaldo comic book. And also we have a preview of the book Cosas que Nunca Cambian, that is written and illustrated by Mexican Richard Sela. Also, we have author Mariko Tamaki and illustrator Rosemary Valero bring to life a sweet and spirit tale of young love in Laura Dean Keep Breaking Up With Me. That is a graphic novel that asks us to consider what happens when we ditch the toxic relationships we crave to embrace the healthy ones we need. It's a graphic novel about romance, and it's for juvenile. And there is a preview of the graphic novel. For juvenile audience, we have two. Viva la Revolución. That is a historical novel to understand the causes and consequences of the French Revolution. Also, we have 20 días de abril, 20 days of April. It is a current novel that deals with the confinement from the perspective of 7 young college students from different countries and with different stories. Together, they will explore the uncertainty of the pandemic and fight discouragement through imagination. This prequel to the Hunger Games needs no introduction, and the Spanish version is available now. When the booktuber phenomenon began, these two young Mexicans were among the first to share reviews of the books they were passionate about. They are considered a team of Mexican booktubers. Currently, both have millions of followers on their social media and have already published books. The first title is El chico de la piel de la piel de cerdo y otros relatos que jamás deberás leer, The Boy in the Pigskin and Other Stories You Should Never Read. It's an anthology of 13 short horror stories written by Reyes Rebeldes. Also, we have Todo lo que dejas cuando llegas y te vas. And in this second collection of poems, Alberto Villarreal leads us through the various forms of love and falling in love. A journey as fun as it is painful, but one that will always be worth venturing into. And the last two titles are Elite, which is a second novel based on the successful Spanish Netflix series of the same name. That is a mix of Gossip Girl with Pretty Little Liars. And also we have Tu barrio te respalda, breve historia ilustrada de las mujeres. In this book, the authors summarize thousands of years of women history with memes and cartoons. And this is the first volume, and they travel from the age of caves to the universal vote of women. And that's it. Thank you for joining us in this virtual book presentation. And I want you to remind you that this is a few selection of the new releases. For more titles and information, you can sign up to our monthly newsletter or contact me via email. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kia, for a wonderful presentation. I don't see any questions in the chat box. So if anyone does have a question, you could always email those questions directly and we will get them to Kia. So again, thank you. Our next presenter is Isabel Mendoza from Vista Higher Learning. Vista Higher Learning is a corporate member. For more information about this company and contact information, please visit reforma.org/bookbuzz. And remember to use our hashtag ReformaBookBuzz. Feel free to add your questions to the comment box during the presentation, and they will be answered at the end. Okay, all yours, Isabel. You're muted, Isabel.
Sorry. Thank you, Manny, and thank you to Reforma for inviting us, and thank you for the audience for joining us today. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Okay. My name is Isabel Mendoza, and I'm the children's book director.
Hi, Isabel. Sorry to interrupt. Can you go to your display settings at the top and choose the option that says, sorry, can you just click on display settings at the top in the middle of the presentation, duplicate slideshow.
Okay.
Or now we're seeing the full screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm the editorial director of Children's and Adult Books Division in Vista Learning Santillana, USA. Many of you may not be familiar with the Vista name, but many of you are likely to be familiar with Santillana USA, with the Santillana USA brand, because Santillana has been in the US market for more than 50 years already. We're gonna show you the best books that we published in the 2020 and so far into 21. We have divided this presentation into parts. The first one is translations of popular English language titles. We like to get translation rights of titles that are highly popular in schools and libraries and the market in general, because we know that librarians and teachers love to share those books with the Spanish-speaking kids too. So first of all, I'm gonna make a special announcement. This is breaking news. This is why this is not included in the presentation that we submitted to Reforma last week. We just licensed this book and we're gonna publish it. I'm sure you're familiar with this cover. It's the Caldecott medal for this year. We're gonna publish it in Spanish. We just licensed it. We don't even have an ISBN or a title in Spanish yet or a release date, but we're gonna be announcing that soon. We're aiming to the end of the spring, beginning of the summer, so you have it as soon as possible to share it with your patrons and your students. So this is really wonderful news. We're very proud to, and I'm very excited to have this beautiful book with such a powerful message in our list. Okay, some of in the new releases, we have this series that was published in English by Candlewick. El Gato Oscar the Cat is a first science series. Oscar is a curious little kitten that is always wondering about the stuff that he sees around him. And there is always a little critter that answers his questions and helps him understand the concepts covered in each book. So for example, in the Oscar and the Snail is the book about things that we use. And Oscar and the Cricket is a book about movement. And there is a moth that, explains everything in the book about light and darkness. And this little frog that helps him with in the book about growing up. You would agree that this is a sweet way to teach science to young kids. And for those librarians concerned and teachers concerned about the standards, this series supports the next generation science standards. And it's also the winner of the UK National Literacy Association WOW award. I'm going to show you a spread of one of the books. This is from Oscar y el Grillo, un libro sobre el movimiento. So as you can see, the style of the illustrations and the layout, it has very short text and bold and clear images. And in the last spread, they provide a graphic summary of the concepts presented in the book that the teacher can use to review or to help students make their own summaries or tell the story in their own words. And it also includes an index with each feature of informational books that the students should begin to master at this early level. And also final question here that serves as a prompt for a response to literature activity. We're also publishing, we just published these two books that I'm sure you recognize the covers. It's the Grace series by the award-winning duo Kelly DiPuccio and Lillian Fan. Grace is a feisty African-American third grader with a curious mind and a strong leadership skills. And through her interaction with her teacher and classmates, readers learn some civics concepts. For example, the first book, Grace for President, teaches about how the electoral system works, how the electoral college works, and as well as the struggle and joys of being a public servant. And I'm going to show you a spread of that book. You know, Grace can't believe that there hasn't been a female president in the United States, so she wants to be the nation's first. And she immediately jumpstarts her political career by running in her school's mock election. So it's a very, very cute story, you know, very powerful for girls and, you know, colored kids in general. And in the other book, in the situation that they live, the kids experience in the story, they learn about the different branches of the government. So these books are, as we showed here, Caldecott Medal, Golden Kite Award-winning illustrator, multiple award-winning authors, and also New York Times bestsellers, you know, very popular and charming books. And I'm sure you also recognize this series. It's the award-winning and critically acclaimed Big Words series by Doreen Rappaport, who is a huge name in nonfiction, especially biographies. And what this book has is that is very special, and that I personally love, is that she combines the story of the life of this person with quotes from this person's speeches or writings. So it provides, you know, a very close experience to these extraordinary people, and it also provides, of course, the primary source element component that is so important when kids learn about, you know, history and research. So we have the first 5 titles that we're going to publish are Las Palabras Poderosas de Martín, La Vida del Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Eleanor Ya no se calla, La Vida de Eleanor Roosevelt, El viaje de Frederick, La vida de Frederick Douglass, Wilma regresa a casa, La vida de Wilma Mankiller, and Las honestas palabras de Abraham, La vida de Abraham Lincoln. And the illustrators of these books are also award-winning artists, you know, amazing illustrations. I'm going to show you a spread of one of each of these books with a summary of some of the awards that the English language edition received. So here's the Martin Luther King book, and here's the book about Wilma Mankiller, who was the first chief of the Cherokee Nation in history, which is a great achievement, you know. Very interesting life, very powerful leader. This is from the book about Eleanor Roosevelt. This is from the book about Abraham Lincoln, one of my favorites. And as you can see all these titles did receive amazing, very important awards and star reviews at the time they were published in English. And this is from the book from Frederick Douglass, about the life of Frederick Douglass. And also another biography that we're publishing, it's Una computadora llamada Catherine, a computer named Catherine. Cómo ayudó Katherine Johnson a poner a Estados Unidos en la luna. This inspiring true story of mathematician Katherine Johnson was made famous by the award-winning film Hidden Figures that you probably watched. And she counted and computed her way to NASA and helped put a man on the moon. And also, as equally importantly, in her journey, she had to face inequality and segregation issues, not only for being an African American, but also for being a woman in the field of science, you know, which was considered a field for a man's, you know, job. And this other book, Fue idea de Elizabeth, in English, the title in English is Elizabeth Started All the Trouble. It's about the fight for women's suffrage in the United States. mainly about Elizabeth Cady Stanton, but it's not a biographical book. It's the story of the suffragettes, and their almost 100-year fight, to give all women in the United States the right to vote. Si tú fueras la luna is a beautiful picture book about the many roles that the moon plays that affect lives on our planet. It's a whimsical and lyrical text, and the illustrations are also beautiful. And as you can see, we love our winners. So it has received, important awards and reviews. And No Lamas este libro, do not leak this book. It's one of my favorites. It's an interactive picture book where microbiologist Aidan Ben Barak and award-winning illustrator Julian Frost zoom in on the microscopic world found on everyday objects and in our bodies. Warning readers, do not lick this book because it's full of germs. That's what the title says. That's what that says on the front cover. This book helps kids understand what germs are and how they are transferred from one thing to another. I'm going to show you 3 spreads of this book so you see how fun it is. The first one, this one is the magnification of a paper, like the paper of the book. This is a t-shirt, and this is the teeth. So, and the little germs are here, having adventures and very interesting conversations about their lives. So it's a very engaging book that I highly, highly recommend for kids all ages. My kids are a teenager and 25 years old, and they both loved it when the first time I brought it home. So this is really, really a very, very engaging book. These 2 books are how-to or procedural texts. We are very important in the curriculum, to books to follow steps to do a project. They're considered maker-space resources, so they can be used in the classroom, for kids to work on their own in special projects, and they support the standards. And I'm showing here 2 spreads from the books. One of them showing a glossary, a photographic image glossary. And now we go with the authentic Spanish language titles. This is a new title by Alma Flor Ada, illustrated by Jimena Garcia, Un Reino Perfecto, a perfect kingdom. This is about a kingdom where all geometric shapes lived in peace until something that I call square supremacy. Of course, that's not the term that is used in the book, but that's how it looks like. Some of those rules are put in place. So the idea is that all shapes that are not squares are not allowed to enter to the palace or to live in center areas, and at the end they are put to live behind a wall. So it has a happy ending, of course, and I find it a very interesting, timely political book, and we're sure it's going to be a hit like all Alma Flor Ada works of the sort. It was selected in this year's Fundación Cuatro Gatos, Premio Fundación Cuatro Gatos list. This is 2 books about 3 new books by Georgina Lázaro León. She's from Puerto Rico, and she's a master of rhyming stories. We have several books by her in our list, in our book backlist. But these are the 3 new ones. The first one, Paseando Junto a Ella, is a picture book about a grandmother who has Alzheimer's, and the process is seen through the eyes of her grandchild. Very touching story, very useful to help kids, cope with this kind of situations at home. And the other 2 are 2 short, very cute stories for beginning readers, also in rhyme. We also have 2 beautiful picture books. by Cuban-American author Andres P. Andreu. These are beautiful books with powerful messages. La Cabeza Inconforme deals with self-acceptance, and Los Colores del Cielo is about prejudice and racism. And this is impressions about Andres P's work by Alma Flor Ada. She says that he's one of the most talented children's authors in Spanish at the moment, that he writes with great sensitivity on important topics in a unique, tender, and insightful style with a delicate sense of humor. He's received, many awards, and his books are really, really good. This is a new series also by Andres P. of opinion titles for K5, different levels, and is authentic, which is something important. Kids need to learn how to write opinion pieces, and we wanted to create this series to show them how, following what it's dictated in the standards for argumentative or opinion texts. In all the books, we have a fictional elementary school student writing two in each book about a topic that is relevant for today's kids. So these are the titles: La playa o la piscina, and ¿Qué opinas de los tres cerditos? The beach and the pool, and what do you think about the three little pigs for K2? And for grades 2-5, we have Should we eat meat? Should your parents control your use of technology? Playing online or outside, and playing alone or with others. Again, each book presents one composition supporting each point of view with reasons and facts according to the standards. So this is all we have for today. Do you have any questions? I'm very happy to answer them. This is the contact info of our sales rep for libraries and distributors. So you can contact her if you have any additional, you want additional information about these books. And let me know if you have any questions here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead, Matt.
I just want to say thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, and thank you for sharing the great news. Libby, it's all you. Oh, there are no questions unless I'll wait a second to see if any questions pop up. But seeing none, it's all yours, Libby.
Thank you so much, Isabel, again. And
my pleasure.
So our last presenter is Jalissa Corey from Lee & Low Books. For more information about this company and contact information, please visit reforma.org/bookbuzz. And remember to use our hashtag #ReformaBookBuzz. Feel free to add your questions to the comment box during the presentation, and they will be answered at the end. Welcome, Jalissa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's afternoon here. I'm in Westchester, New York. It's snowing over here. Hope everyone is safe. I am the marketing and publicity manager at Lee & Low Books. If you're not familiar with us, Lee & Low Books is the largest multicultural children's book publisher in the United States. We were established in 1991, so this year is our 30th anniversary. We're family-owned, independent, minority-owned as well, and we publish children's books from picture books all the way up to young adults. So for today's session, I'm going to go through a few of our titles with you all. I'm so excited to be here. Listed here are some places you can find us on social media, on the web, my email address as well, in case you have any questions, which I will reshare at the end of my presentation, and also our website, Lee & Low Books. So without further ado, I'm just going to present some highlights of our 2020 titles. These titles are by our Latinx authors and illustrators, or are also Spanish language. A few are just English editions, but we also want to make sure we showcase all of our work from our Latinx and authors and illustrators. So first, Chiruco by Monica Brown and illustrated by Elisa Chavarri. So this is a bilingual picture book biography of Peruvian archaeologist and national icon Julio Cedillo, or as he was nicknamed, Churuco, which means brave in Quechua, which is the language of the native people of Peru. Over his lifetime, Teo made many revolutionary discoveries, preserving the historical treasures he found. In doing so, he unearthed Peru's ancient cultures and fostered pride in the country's indigenous people. A favorite among reviewers, Churuco has been named informative and engaging by the Hornbook, vibrant by Booklist, and inspiring by SLJ. And recently, Churuco has been named a Pura Belpre Award Illustrator Honor, is included in the 2021 to 22 Tejas Star Reading List, and is included in the TLA Bluebonnet Master List. So we're really excited to have this title. It's approaching 3 and I know I'm hungry, so this title's perfect. This is Nachos Nachos by debut author Sandra Nickel and illustrator Oliver Dominguez. What is the story behind the world's favorite snack? Well, it started with Ignacio Anaya, also nicknamed Nacho, as many Ignacios are also nicknamed. This title tells the story of how nachos, or as it was called in the 1940s, Nacho Special came to be. And it celebrates the 80th anniversary of the invention of nachos. The story also gives readers a fun-filled look at the rewards of human ingenuity and also problem solving. This title earned a star review from Kirkus Reviews, which says Nichols' homage to this congenial, hardworking man and his renowned snack is a celebration of ingenuity and kismet. So I really felt it was important to include this activity book as well, surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement. Whenever we speak of also Latinx communities, we never want to leave out Afro-Latinx folks. So I thought it was very important to include this. So when Alicia Garza, Patrice Coolers, and Opal Tometi first founded Black Lives Matter, they worked with their community to create a list of guiding principles for the movement. The principles lay out a vision of a society where all Black people's lives are valued, and everyone can grow and thrive in justice and community. Lalenia Garcia, a kindergarten teacher here in New York City, learned about the principles with her work through Black Lives Matter at school. This is a national organization for racial justice in education. And she decided to put the principles into kid-friendly language for classroom use. Another teacher involved with the organization, Karen Davidson, had created beautiful images of past and contemporary activists for racial justice to help to illustrate what came to be what we believe, which is the Black Lives Matter Principles Activity Book. So every spread features an explanation of one of the 13 principles, an illustration that readers can color in, some reflection questions, a space for kids to write and draw in their answers and thoughts. A letter to adults at the beginning of the book provides a history of the Black Lives Matter movement and recommendations for talking about racial justice with children, all rooted in Lalenia's real classroom experience. And also there is a letter to kids at the end, which helps readers frame the principles in their minds and suggests some ways they can take action in their own communities. This book has received terrific praise from educational thought leaders like Bettina Love, who calls it a visual, loving example of freedom and the possibilities of using art to create a new world. And also Dr. Kim Parker, who said it's a fabulous way for educators, parents, and children to live the principles of the movement. So I'm really excited to share that title with you all. So next is our middle grade Julieta and the Diamond Enigma, in this smart middle grade mystery about a diamond gone missing. Sweet and spunky Julieta is the only one who can crack the case. In this story, Julieta is off to Paris. She'll help her art handler dad collect pieces for a new exhibit while learning all there is to know about her newfound surroundings. But when the Louvre's Regent diamond goes missing and her dad's job is in danger, Julieta is determined to find the thief. Fans of From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler would enjoy this debut by New Visions Award winner Luisana Duarte Armendariz. A New Visions Award honor on these magic shores is a magical middle grade own voices tale with friendship, hope, and a little bit of fairy magic. The title's heroine, Minerva, is tasked with taking care of her sisters after their mother disappears. But despite the challenges and dangers they face, there seems to be something magical looking out for them. You'll recognize author Shamile Said Mendez, the author of Where Are You From? Or De Donde Eres, and the ever popular Burrida. Perfect for fans of Love, Sugar, Magic by Anne Mariano. Readers would definitely enjoy this title. So we're going to move on to 2021. Just for a little splattering, I guess you can say, of our spring 2021 titles, we just want to take an opportunity to show a few of them. We have from The Conservation of the Kamehameha Butterflies in Hawaii, to An Expression of Black Boy Joy, from exploring the wilderness through your five senses to finding beauty in the world around you. We're excited to share our newest list of titles. You can find a list of these at the link on the slide or at the link that's provided by REFORMA. If you're interested in reviewing a digital copy, you can email me at jcorey@liamlo.com. I'll share my email again at the end, just for everyone's reference. So now I'm just gonna spotlight a couple of them. Oops. Went a little too far there. So first, I'll build you a bookcase de Are tu propio librero. In 2019, the design firm Open Idea launched the Early Childhood Book Challenge, which was funded by the William Penn Foundation. And for this challenge, they were in search of book manuscripts that could inspire children and their caregivers to read together. So I'll Build You a Bookcase, which is written by Jean Fahey and illustrated by Simone Shin, was selected as a top manuscript from more than 500 submissions, and Lee and Low was honored to be selected as a publisher for this book. This is such a unique partnership between a design firm, a foundation, and a publisher to advance the cause of early literacy. We will be releasing I'll Build You a Bookcase in 4 different bilingual editions. Here you see a spread from our English and Spanish edition. We'll also have English and Arabic, English Mandarin, and English and Vietnamese. And William Penn Foundation will be distributing thousands of copies to families and caregivers in the Philadelphia area. We are so excited to be part of this initiative and for families to be inspired to read together. And this title will be out next month. Here is a sneak peek to Hilda Eunice Burgos' sophomore middle grade novel, Miosotis Flores Never Forgets. Miosotis struggles with her growing distance from her college-age sister until her work with an abandoned dog at a local animal rescue leads her to realize her sister may be experiencing similar abuse. So the story addresses a tough topic that affects many children across the nation, and we hope readers, by reading this title, will know that they're not alone. This title will be out this August. And finally, I'm just going to wrap up with The Witch Owl Parliament, which is our upcoming YA graphic novel from the Pura Belpre award-winning team of David Bowles and Raul III. This is the first installment in our Clockwork Curandera series, a reimagining of Frankenstein set in colonial Mexico. Part alchemy, part engineering, this is a gorgeous graphic novel that fans of the genre will really be able to sink their teeth into. And this book has been many years in the making, and we're so excited to share this not only in English, but also in a simultaneous Spanish edition as well. So before I conclude, I quickly want to share some of our virtual resources we're offering from Lee and Low Books. This includes author read aloud videos in both English and Spanish, activity guides for families to do at home. We have our page dedicated to resources in Spanish, or Recursos en Español, to serve the needs of Spanish-speaking students and families. We also have book trailers and free downloadable teacher's guides for anyone's use. Same thing for lesson plans for each of our titles. And you can find these resources and more at the URL here, which is also shared at the REFORMA site. Some new educator resources I just wanted to quickly share are our anti-racism book list. If you're looking to add anti-racist books to your collection, but you don't know where to start, our titles will help you take the first steps or continue any critical discussions about anti-racism work in any of your relevant settings. So this list includes books from pre-K all the way up to high school. And also inside the book list, you'll see which titles in particular are bilingual or also have Spanish editions. We also have Native American Indigenous book list, where you can celebrate Native voices and experiences of Native communities. Included in this book list are Native American, Indigenous, and First Nations children's books, including many own voices titles by Native authors and illustrators. And just like our anti-racism diverse reading list, any titles that are bilingual or also have Spanish reading editions will be noted in our list. We've recently updated our library questionnaire, which is a tool used to analyze your library and determine where there are strengths and gaps in diversity. We now have this available in Spanish and also as an interactive PDF. You can use these as resources to build a collection of books that will reflect the world we all live in, or whether that be at home or in your relevant settings. And also another popular resource among educators have been our webinars, which offer a variety of professional development opportunities. So each of our webinars includes examples of relevant classroom activities, approaches, and books that are related to each critical topic. We have themes that include teaching Black Lives Matter in the classroom, using children's books to approach trauma-informed education, teaching tough topics, strategies for building an inclusive bookshelf, and so much more. So I wanted to make this quick. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you'd like more information about our titles, our resources, and our offerings, like our customized collections fit to suit any of your needs, feel free to contact me at my email address. Thanks again and stay safe.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Jalissa. Wonderful presentation, and thank you for those timely and relevant resources. I'm not seeing any questions in the queue, in the chat, but if anyone has a quick question, I'll wait a minute. If anyone does have any questions, if you think about it afterwards, feel free to email us and we'll make sure we get the questions to the people who they're directed at. So with that, I want to thank you, and we're not done yet. We still have a little bit more for the program. Thank you to all of the presenters from Little Libros, Cinco Books, Latin American Bookstores, Vista Higher Learning, and Lee and Low Books Incorporated. This was the last event of the Reforma Virtual Spanish Language Book Buzz Winter Series, featuring 18 distributors and publishers. Visit reforma.org/bookbuzz to register to attend future events. To finalize, I'm delighted to introduce Reforma Vice President Nicanor Diaz, who will be closing the series and saying a few words about Reforma's mission and the purpose of these series. Welcome, Nicanor.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. What an amazing series. I can't, the amount of work that Anna and Livy have put into this is just so great to have this opportunity for our members and our non-members to enjoy and connect with the presenters and learn about all of these great resources for their libraries or their personal collections. I wanted to also thank Patty, Manny, and Edwin for helping organize and you know, like back of the house, helping with tech and presenting. I also want to thank everybody who's here attending this event. Obviously, we do it for you, and we appreciate all of you being able to take advantage of this. A little bit of Reforma's history. It was founded in 1971 by Dr. Arnulfo Trejo. So that means that we are celebrating our 50th birthday this year. We are an affiliate of the American Library Association. We have about 20 active chapters throughout the United States. And also we have about 20 standing committees that work to bring programs like this one for all of you to enjoy and to promote library and information services to Spanish speakers. Some of our goals are to help develop Spanish language and Latinx oriented library collections. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we do programs like this. And you know, through webinars like this, we invite all of you to have conversations with Latinx authors, get to know each other and get to know some of our presenters. We also reach this goal through our Reforma listserv, where you can connect with other Reformistas and ask questions and you know, just engage and learn and find ways where you can better serve your community. Also on our Reforma Net, we help organizations recruit bilingual multicultural library staff. We have a pretty active job board where we post job opportunities throughout the country, so keep that in mind as well. We have scholarships that folks can apply if you're interested in pursuing your IMLS degree. So that's another thing to kind of keep an eye on. We have our Children in Crisis Task Force that has been working for many years now, helping get books to children that are in our detention facilities. They've done such an amazing work, requesting donations, putting book bags together, and making sure that those kids can have these books. And that's just like a couple things that we do. Obviously, we would invite for you to support Reforma. The best way to support Reforma is by becoming a member, and you can do that at our website at reforma.org/join. And again, this has been an amazing series, and I just wanted to thank everyone who participated and helped put together. I know it's very time consuming. This is volunteer work. So it just shows how passionate everyone is to provide these services for our Latinx community. So thank you all.
Thank you, Nicanor, for all these words and for sharing our mission for Reforma. Thank you to all the committee co-chairs from Reforma Northeast and LA chapters, Ana Avalos, Ana Campos, Elisa Garcia, Jessica Agudelo. Reforma is an affiliate of the American Library Association. We are bringing this program series free of charge. If you would like to support Reforma, consider becoming a member, volunteering, or donating. Go to reforma.org, get involved. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.